Stephen P.H. Butler Leacock, F.R.S.C., the 30th of December 1869, the 28th of March 1944, was a Canadian teacher, political scientist, writer, and humorist. Between the years 1915 and 1925, he was the best-known English-speaking humorist in the world. He is known for his light humor along with criticisms of people's follies. The Stephen Leacock Memorial Medal for Humor was named in his revenge. Let's look at the story. Now, ladies and gentlemen, said the conjurer, having shown you that the cloth is absolutely empty, I will proceed to take from it a bowl of goldfish. Presto! All around the hall people were saying, "Oh, how wonderful! How does he do it?" But the quick man on the front seat said in a big whisper to the people near him, "He had it up his sleeve." Then the people nodded brightly at the quick man and said, "Oh, of course." And everybody whispered round the hall, "He had it up his sleeve." "My next trick," said the conjurer, "is the famous Hindustani rings. You will notice that the rings are apparently separate. At a blow they all join, clang, 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 presto." There was a general buzz of stupefaction till the quick man was heard to whisper, "He must have had another lot up his sleeve." Again everybody nodded and whispered. The rings were up his sleeve. The brow of the conjurer was clouded with a gathering frown. "I will now," he continued, "show you a most amusing trick by which I am enabled to take any number of eggs from a hat. Will some gentleman kindly lend me his hat?" "Ah, thank you, presto." He extracted 17 eggs, and for 35 seconds the audience began to think that he was wonderful. Then the quick man whispered along the front bench, "He has a hen up his sleeve," and all the people whispered it on. "He has a lot of hens up his sleeve." The egg trick was ruined. It went on like that all through. It transpired from the whispers of the quick man that the conjurer must have concealed up his sleeve, in addition to the rings, hens, and fish, several packs of cards, a loaf of bread, a doll's cradle, a live guinea pig, a 50-cent piece, and a rocking chair. The reputation of the conjurer was rapidly sinking below zero. At the close of the evening he rallied for a final effort. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "I will present to you, in conclusion, the famous Japanese trick recently invented by the natives of Tipperary. Will you, sir," he continued turning toward the quick man, "will you kindly hand me your gold watch?" It was passed to him. "Have I your permission to put it into this mortar and pound it to pieces?" he asked savagely. The quick man nodded and smiled. The conjurer threw the watch into the mortar and grasped a sledgehammer from the table. There was a sound of violent smashing. "He's slipped it up his sleeve," whispered the quick man. "Now, sir," continued the conjurer, "will you allow me to take your handkerchief and punch holes in it? Thank you. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there is no deception, the holes are visible to the eye." The face of the quick man beamed. This time the real mystery of the thing fascinated him. "And now, sir, will you kindly pass me your silk hat and allow me to dance on it?" "Thank you." The conjurer made a few rapid passes with his feet and exhibited the hat crushed beyond recognition. "And will you now, sir, take off your celluloid collar and permit me to burn it in the candle?" "Thank you, sir." "And will you allow me to smash your spectacles for you with my hammer?" "Thank you." By this time the features of the quick man were assuming a puzzled expression. "This thing beats me," he whispered, "I don't see through it a bit." There was a great hush upon the audience. Then the conjurer drew himself up to his full height and, with a withering look at the quick man, he concluded, "Ladies and gentlemen, you will observe that I have, with this gentleman's permission, broken his watch, burnt his collar, smashed his spectacles, and danced on his hat. If he will give me the further permission to paint green stripes on his overcoat, or to tie his suspenders in a knot, I shall be delighted to entertain you. If not, the performance is at an end." And amid a glorious burst of music from the orchestra the curtain fell, and the audience dispersed, convinced that there are some tricks, at any rate, that are not done up the conjurer's sleeve. Stephen Leacock. The Conjurer's Revenge by Stephen Leacock. Summary. The conjurer called the attention of the people and showed an empty cloth. He said, "Presto!" He took out a bowl of goldfish. All around the hall people wondered at how he did it. But the quick man on the front seat said in a big whisper to the people that he had it up his sleeve. Then everybody whispered around the hall that he had it up his sleeve. Then everybody whispered around the hall that he had it up his sleeve. The conjurer said that his next trick was the famous Hindustani rings. He showed that the rings were separate. At a blow they all joined. The quick man whispered that he had another lot up his sleeve. Again everybody nodded and whispered that the rings were up his sleeve. The conjurer worried a lot, but he continued his tricks. The conjurer got a hat from the audience and he extracted 17 eggs in 35 seconds. The audience began to think that he was wonderful. Then the quick man whispered along the front bench that he had a hen up his sleeve, and so all the people whispered it on that he had a lot of hens up his sleeve. The egg trick was ruined. It went on like that all through. Whatever the tricks he did, he got the same response. It seemed that the conjurer must have concealed his sleeve. The reputation of the conjurer was rapidly sinking below zero. He rallied for a final effort. He said that he would present to them the famous Japanese trick recently invented by the natives of Tipperary. He turned toward the quick man and requested him to give his gold watch. It was passed to him. The conjurer asked the quick man if he had his permission to put it into that mortar and pound it to pieces. The quick man nodded and smiled. The conjurer threw the watch into the mortar and grasped a sledgehammer from the table and smashed it. The quick man whispered that he had slipped it up his sleeve. The conjurer asked him whether he would allow him to take his handkerchief and punch holes in it. He made visible holes in it. The real mystery of the thing fascinated the quick man. Then the conjurer asked for the quick man's permission to dance on his silk hat. The conjurer passed on the hat with his feet and crushed it. Then he got his celluloid collar and burnt it with his permission. Then he got his spectacles and smashed it with hammer. The quick man puzzled and he whispered that he didn't see through it a bit. The conjurer concluded that he had broken his watch, burnt his collar, smashed his spectacles and danced on his hat with his permission. The audience dispersed with an acceptance that there were some tricks that were not done up the conjurer's sleeve.